Hey everyone, it's Rob from Hypop and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're unboxing and reviewing the Talifo GK-S60 RGB LED lighting kit. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. Hit the notification bell to be updated of any new content we release. Drop a like in this video if it's helped you in any way. Feel free to leave down in the comment section below your thoughts or if you have any questions about the Talifo S60 RGB LEDs. Feel free to follow us on social media at Hypop and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Let's get into it. So I've got the Talifo S60 RGB LED 2 lighting kit here. So that's that 2 light set. And it comes in this carry bag, which is great because a lot of other lighting kits, sometimes they neglect to include a carry bag, and it's good to see they've included one here. And it's a decent one too because it's got a few straps here. You can see there's a shoulder strap, there's a handle strap, and there's also larger straps here. And what they're used for are for the stands typically, so you can feed a couple of stands through there because most of the time larger stands won't fit in the bag itself, and you usually just carry them all in one kit by feeding it through these straps here. Now opening this up, the main zipper compartment here is a double zipper, and it has a Velcro attachment here at the edge, and this is all the stuff that's included. So firstly we have the operating guide and the instruction manual, as well as a remote control, because you can wirelessly remote control these lights. It has a 50-meter distance. Now on the inside here we've got some separators, and we've got the lights themselves. One of the lights is the second light, and we've got some AC power adapters, 2 of those, 2 cables, and the 2 stands as part of the kit. Now these stands, based on the size, appear to be smaller light stands. They'll be enough to support these lights here, but if you are using heavier light stands, that's when you'd be using those straps there. And it looks like that's it. So there are no outer compartments at all. And there's also no inner compartments. It's just one big compartment here for all the lights, the stand. You've got a separator part here. That's the full length of the bag, and that's where the stands are underneath, and then the lights are on top. So I've got the 2 S60 lights with me here on some small desktop stands. So these desktop stands aren't included. They're just our little display stands. You do have the larger 1.8 meter stands, or 180 centimeters. And here we can see the lights themselves. They're about the size of, say, an iPad or so. I believe they are 30 centimeters wide, 20 centimeters tall. It's about 11 by 8 inches. So you can see there's some barn doors here, and these barn doors help direct the light a little bit better. The actual beam angle of the LEDs is 140 degrees. So you can see you can cut that in a lot better if you want to narrow it down to your subject, direct the light, use the built-in barn doors. Now the only disadvantage, I guess, that you can't remove these barn doors if they get in the way. So the advantage of these barn doors here are that you can actually create your own makeshift softbox. If you have some baking paper, you can clip that to the front here, and then you can soften the light a bit better. But you can see the actual beam angle will be sort of in that directed light rather than that wider spread of light. Now, some features of these lights include that they are CRI and TLC rating of 95+. There's color adjusting from 3200 Kelvin to 5600 Kelvin. It's 60 watts of output, and that's coming from 600 LEDs. And there's a mixture there because these are RGB lights. You've got the standard color temperature LEDs as well as RGB LEDs built in. Now you do have some slide-in diffusers also. So if you were to do that softbox thing that I mentioned, it would be better to actually slide out these diffuser panels. So these slide out diffuser panels, you can see there's some sort of covering on it, so you can peel that off if you wanted to go ahead and use them, because that is blocking the way. That's just there for protection during transport. And you can see there you've got the bare bulbs of these LEDs. Now that's when you'd probably want to have that maximum output, and then you'd use that baking paper that I was mentioning to create that softbox. So you're not double diffusing it, you're not using that to diffuse it as well as the baking paper, and you're still getting maximum output, because when you do use a softbox, LEDs tend to get a little bit weaker and the light tends to get a bit softer. So you can see there the mixture of the LEDs. You've got the color temperature LEDs mixed in with the RGB LEDs, and there's 600 of them in total. Now the actual build of the light itself is made from aluminium, so it's quite a decent build. You just only got these coverings on the side here that are made from plastic. And when you look at the back panel here, there's two options to power the light. You've got the usual AC input there, so you can plug it directly in. And you've also got some battery slots here. Now these support the Sony NP-F series batteries, so you can operate these lights with two of them. These aren't included in the kit, so you need to purchase those separately. But it's good to see that you have compatibility to take this with you on location or outside if you have a shoot outside. And you've got some basic controls here, which we'll go through shortly. Now, on top of that, you've got the remote control. So this remote control here wirelessly controls these via 2.4 gigahertz. You just set the channel in the group, and you can basically control the color temperature, chuck it into RGB mode, adjust the intensity. So it's really convenient to have this, especially if you have it mounted on a high stand and you don't want to go all the way up to the light and change all the settings behind the panel. And the output of the light itself is 2000 lux at 1 meter. So it's a decent amount of output coming from an LED panel. Usually the higher LED outputs are coming from single point source COB LEDs. So that's a decent amount for such small compact lights. And you can control the intensity of the light from 10% to 100%. So we're gonna go through the menu for the S60 RGB. Firstly, let's turn the light on. And you can see there's two sides of the switch here. There's one side which is battery and the other side's the DC or the AC DC. And you can turn that on there, and we're plugged it in, so we'll turn it on to the right side. And straight away you are in color mode, but we can change this mode really quickly into just your standard CCT mode. So just going through the back panel here, firstly you've got your two battery mounting plates. You've got DMX in and out ports here. You've got the dial that controls the adjustment for the intensity as well as color temperature. You've got the on-off switch, and you've got three buttons along the top here. And you can see there's LEDs just above that, and then you've got the LCD screen too. Now the LEDs here show what mode you're in, and it tells you kind of what you're currently doing in terms of jumping in the different settings for the menu. Now this mode here, we're in CCT mode, and that's just regular color temperature mode. And if we wanted to change that, you just press down on mode again, and you can see the mode has changed to a little orange light, and that means you're in RGB mode. And here we have the 360 degrees, or 360 different colors that you can go through. And you can see it's changing there in the background also. Now there's no quick way to spin through to a certain color that you want. You just need to use the dial here to change the setting. And you've also got, and when you press down on that, now you've got two sides here to the dimmer, and then you've got the color temperature that's at. So this is on CCT mode. You can see the lights change to blue. That means we're in CCT mode. We can change the intensity of the light on the left side, and you can see that's 99. And you can go all the way down to 10%. Now also you can change the color temperature. So if you press down on the center dial, you can see color is now highlighted, and it's on 5600 Kelvin, and you can adjust that in 100K increments down to 3200 Kelvin. So you can see that's a more warmer light now. And that's pretty much it. Now in terms of controlling the wireless, here on the left button, you can see you can turn off wireless completely. Or you can turn it on by holding it down and setting the wireless channel that you're on. So let's put it on 4. Now you've got your remote control here. The remote control takes 2 AAA batteries. And it's a convenient remote control because you can, control both of the lights. You can chuck them both on the same channel, or you can have them on separate channels, so that way you can control them independently. But we have them on channel 4 here, so we'll jump into the remote, press channel, and you can see channels highlighted, and just change that over to 4. There we go. And that's on 4. And now we're talking to the light, so if I change the mode, that should change it to the color temperature mode. And you can see I'm adjusting it, and it's adjusting as I'm controlling the remote control. And there's the intensity as well, and the intensity is going up also. And you can jump into mode here, and mode will change it to that RGB mode, and you can set the hue. So let's set it to say 147, which is kind of like a teal green, blue, and you've got the intensity 2, and that's controlling the intensity. Now there's another option at the bottom here, which is saturation. And saturation for most other LED lights means that you can control the saturation of that particular color. And you can see it's actually not adjusting despite me changing the intensity of that saturation, and it's not changing at all. And that's because you can't actually change the saturation of these colors. It only shows that it supports 360 colors. Now, if you have other RGB lights that have saturation enabled, that means you can control the different levels of that particular color, you know, how intense and saturated that color is. So this light in particular does not support that, and that's just something to note. You also have a start button on the remote control here, and the start button usually is used for lighting effects, but this light doesn't have lighting effects. So it seems like this remote control here is a universal one that's used for other Talifo lights. So that's just something to take note of. So why would you purchase the S60 lights? Basically, they're LED panels that are great as field lights or just as a starting lighting kit. They have a few additional features that other LED panels don't have. So you've obviously got the color temperature adjusting, you've got the RGB capabilities. Now, there aren't many RGB LED panels on the market. So just off the top of my head, you've only got the smaller LED RGB lights like from Aputure and from Godox, such as the ALMC or the Godox M80. So there aren't many that are similar to these lights here. Other brands that have similar options include Pixel, I believe it's called the K80. Neewer have their own RGB LED light, and there's also GVM LED. So there aren't many on the market. Now these are also reasonably priced too. So as part of a lighting kit that comes with the stands, you've got the remote, and you've got the 2 lights and the carry bag. Really cost effective. We'll throw the pricing on the screen as well as some of the conversions. And on top of that, you've got the built-in barn doors. So that means you've got a modifier with the light that's pre-built in. You've got the AC and also the battery operation. So that means you can use them on field, on location. So that's great too. And overall, they're just a really useful panel. We actually use these lights as some of our background lighting here. So right now we've substituted them with some smaller RGB LED lights, but these are our typical RGB lights that use for the ambient lighting and the background lighting, and we always adjust the colors based on the scene. So these are really useful and practical lights as part of an entire lighting setup. Now you may not use them as a key light, although they would be perfect to use for that. So if you've got like an interview scenario, it's still perfect to use for that. But usually we're using like a larger COB light as a key light. In our setup, we're using Aputure 300D, but we use these as background lights all the time and just field lights in general. So overall, a great light, cost effective, and something that we definitely recommend. So for more videos just like this, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, also hit that notification bell, and also follow us on social media at Hypop and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Thanks for watching.